Yo, what is up guys, welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to show you how to clean your mix using a stock plugin of FL Studio. This plugin is Peak Controller, and in the past I didn't use this plugin because every tutorial I saw was about just using sidechain, and as my music mainly is a 4 to the floor, one kick every beat, I don't really need to use this plugin because I prefer to use Kickstart, Grossbeat or plugins like that because it was a bit easier. But of course, if you make music that the kick is not in every beat, maybe you want to use other plugins, and this one is good for that. But I also discovered how to use this plugin in another ways to make your sound sound a lot cleaner. So today I'm gonna show you 3 ways to use this plugin. The first one is just normal sidechain and EQed sidechain. The second one is gonna be about cleaning reverb, and the third one is gonna be about cleaning vocals. Well, the truth is that you're not gonna be cleaning the vocal itself, you're gonna be giving a space to it, but at the end the vocal is gonna sound a lot cleaner. So if you like this kind of tutorials, and this video help you, you know what you have to do. Just give a like, comment something if you want, subscribe, because as I always say, it's free, and later if you don't like what I upload, just unsubscribe. There's not a problem, okay? So guys, nothing else, let's start with the video. Okay, so as I said, let's say we are in 128, and we are making progressive house, big room, whatever, and we have this kick, it's just a hip-hop kick, and this bass, okay? So if we have it like this, of course they are fighting, so we can just load a kickstart and we have a space for it. But let's say we are in 150 and we have something like this. This is not a 4 to the floor, so if we have a normal sidechain as before, this kickstart is not gonna work because, for example, in this beat, okay, this second part is where the bass is sounding, because it's what the kickstart is doing, this part here is this part, so the kick is gonna be interfering with the bass. Of course, you can use it to give movement to the bass, but what I'm going to show you is how to, sidechain this bass every time the kick hits. So to do this, first on the kick channel, I'm going to load a Peak controller, and then here in the bass channel, what I'm going to load is just the Fruity Balance. There's people that use compression for these things. I like to use Fruity Balance. So what you have to do is so simple. Just right click here, link to controller, okay? And on the internal controller, you have to choose the Peak controller. If you have more than one, all of them are going to be here, and also the automation. So make sure you select the right one, in this case the chest kick, and we have to click on Peak. Then here on input we have to change it to inverted, okay, and just accept. So now if I press play and pause super fast, we can see that the volume is not on 0, it's on at top. So you have to move the bass thing, okay, until it's on 0. For the Fruity Balance, okay, just type value and it's 0.2, so it's on 0. And now, as we can see, it's so hard, so if I increase the volume, it's gonna be a lot harder, but it's making that sidechain, so we don't want that much, maybe something like this. It depends on you, of course. But what if you just want a little bit, something like this? The bass of this bass line is going to be interfering with the bass of the kick. So what you can do is also use apart from the Fruity Balance, you can use an EQ, and automate one band. For example, let's move this to 100, and now we go here, link to controller. Let's select this one, put it on inverted, and now this is going to be decreasing. But what happens? That the bass of the parametric EQ is not the same. It increases. So if you use a Fruity Balance and a parametric EQ, you need to use 2 different Peak controllers. Okay, so let's load a new one. And now let's link this to the second one. As you can see, there are 2 now. So what we can do is just rename this second. So let's link it to the second, okay? And on Peak, it's already inverted. And now move the bass until this is on 0. In this case, it's 0.5. So just type it. I'm gonna make this a bit steeper. Okay, and as you can see, it's like it is clipping. It's not really clipping, but it's like that waveform. So I prefer to reduce it a bit. something like this. So now we have this Leo sidechain on the top of the bass, but the sub bass is clean because we are reducing that much. So this way is the way you can use sidechain, okay, with peak controller. But let's do it in another way. What I'm gonna show you now is how to clean your reverb using peak controller, because a lot of times I check your tracks and I can listen that the reverb is so muddy, you know, and is interfering with the original sound. So what you can do is imagine that we have here this snare, okay, and here we have a reverb. Let's call it reverb. And we have this linked here, so we have one reverb, just load one super fast, you know, something like this, a bit bigger decay. So we have this, okay? Of course, we can use pre-delay, but the thing here is that you don't really know the time of the snare, you know, and yeah, of course, you can open Edison and see how long it is and all these things, but it's so annoying. So what you can do is load here on this reverb, on the reverb channel, you can load another Fruity Balance, and on the snare channel, you can load a P controller, as before, you know. So let's link it to this P controller, invert it, put the bass on 0.2. Okay, so if we make it so strong, now it's gonna be like this. So as you can see, when the snare is playing, the reverb is not, okay? So if you did this just a little bit, you know, I like to do it, of course, it depends on the sound, you know, on the melody, on the drum. It depends on a lot of things, but maybe like -5, -6, something like this. Something like this would be nice, you know. And the thing here is that we are now cleaning the original sound, you know, the dry sound, because when you, for example, you clap yourself, okay, you hear first the dry signal, and then you hear the reverb that creates your room. So this way is something like this when you use this technique. So let's say the snare, we have it like this, maybe. What's gonna happen is that if the decay is so long, you know, as in this case, what's gonna happen is that the reverb of the first snare is gonna be sounding maybe until here. So these three snares, when they play, they're gonna have the reverb of the first one on top. So they're not gonna sound that clean, you know. If I try to make it so obvious without the peak controller, okay, every time the snare sounds, there's also the reverb of the previous one, so it's not sounding clean. But if we use the peak controller and we make it so strong, as you can see, every time the snare hits, it's sounding so clean. So as I said before, if you use just a little bit, it's so good to use it, you know, in almost everything, in leads, in I don't know, in vocals, in snares, you know. Maybe in some chords, for example, that is really sustained notes, you don't really want to use this, because what you're gonna have is just, you know, the Fruity Balance of that is affected by the peak controller is gonna be all the time low. So because it's a sustained note, so you don't really want to use it. But on sounds like this, or on leads, you know, that have a melody and all these things, it works so well. And last but not least, we can use it to give a space to the vocal, okay? Let's say that we have here in this pattern one pad and one piano. Okay, and here we have this vocal, it's just from a pack.
Together, cause I don't wanna live that way.
Okay, they are of course from different ones. What's gonna happen is, if, for example, if I decrease a bit the volume of the vocal,
Together,
you can hear that that pad and the piano is interfering with the vocal. So what I like to do is to go here to the vocal and first search where the vocal is present.
together, cause I don't wanna.
Let's say the vocal is present in these two sections, in these two areas. So move this EQ to both sounds and take it out from the vocal. So yeah, of course, we can just go here, you know, and decrease, and we're gonna be giving a space to the vocal before
Together,
and after.
together,
Okay, but the thing is that, for example, let's say here we don't have anything on the vocal.
together,
Here, those frequencies of the pad and of the piano that we like, but the thing is that they are interfering with the vocal, are not, you know, because we reduced them. So here they are not gonna sound good because there is no something on top that covers those areas, because in this part here, yeah, we decrease it on the pad and the piano, but the vocal is covering those frequencies in these areas. So here is not happening the same. So what we can do, we can use peak controller. So let's do the same as before. Go to the vocal, you know, load peak controller. Go here, well, put it on 0 and link them to the vocal, to the peak controller of the vocal, and invert them. And now, of course, move the bass to 0.5 in this case, because this is the parameter EQ, to be on 0. So now it's gonna be so obvious, okay?
Together, 'cause I don't wanna live.
Okay, but as you can see here, those frequencies come back. So we have them, and we don't have something not sounding full. But of course, as I said, it's so obvious. So what we're gonna do is just decrease it a bit. What I like is to decrease it maybe 2-3 dBs, you know. In the middle of 0, I'm -6.
Together, 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 'cause I don't wanna live there.
Okay, put a bit up the volume of the vocal.
Together,
Okay, so now what you're doing is every time the vocal sounds, you're decreasing a bit on these areas that are interfering with the vocal, but just a little bit, and you cannot really feel that the pad and the piano are decreasing here, you know, when the vocal is sounding, because the vocal is covering that space. But then here, when you don't have the vocal, everything sounds as it should. Okay, there's nothing going on. Of course, in this case, it's just two sounds, you know, but sometimes you have, you know, guitars, pads, pianos, strings, and a lot of things that are going on at the same time, but that are fighting for the place as the vocal, you know. And in my opinion, the vocal is the most important thing in a breakdown. So if you have to decrease or cut frequencies of other sounds to give a space to the vocal, you have to do it. It's better to touch those sounds and not touch the vocal. And this way is so easy to do it and so safe, because later when you don't have the vocal, you have those frequencies back and you don't have any problem. But well, you don't really need to do it in every single sound, you know. Claps, rides, downlifters probably are not affecting the vocal. So guys, this is it. This is the 3 techniques I wanted to show you on how to use peak controller. I think they are pretty useful and easy to do, you know, just some clicks here and there and you have it. And at the end, if you apply those simple things, you know, the reverb one, the ones on the vocal, sometimes even for example, you can use the technique I show you with the vocal, but with other sounds, you know. For example, one plug that has the peak controller, and then maybe some pads or some pianos that has the EQ, and they are decreasing every time the plug hits, so it's giving more space to the plug, you know. Just try to not overdo it, because if you overdo it at the end, it's gonna sound bad. But yeah, just try it, you know, and give me in the comments how it worked for you, if it helped you, you know. And well, if it helped you, you know what to do. As I said before, just like and subscribe. And guys, leave me some suggestions down below in the comments for upcoming tutorials, and nothing else, I guess. See you in the next video.